Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Breathe Deeper. In our rapidly changing technological world and digitally enhanced world that surrounds us, I think there's a lot of different questions that we might ask, specifically about the future and how we don't know much about it. We don't know what could happen in the future, and it causes this underlying fear. And so it inhibits our sense of growth in the present. And so today I want to be exploring the idea of if the future doesn't exist yet, then why are we so afraid of it? Well, one such explanation I feel like that could provide more context to this is the idea that there's uncertainty and a loss of control that comes with the future because we can't seem to predict what's going to happen. It's unpredictable, unknowable. And as humans, we're wired to predict things, to understand patterns, to recognize things, to have a sense of familiarity. But with the future, there's no familiarity. We don't know. It's foreign to us. And I think that if we look at this in a philosophical sense, we are wired to seek meaning. And with the future, there's just no way to know what will happen next. There's no meaning in it yet. It hasn't been formed yet. And I feel like this is just causing so many problems for us right now. If we constantly hyper focus on the future, we don't focus on our own growth in the present because we can't do anything about the future. And so this is just one way to analyze the idea of why we fear the future so much. Another such way to view our fear of the future is that fear may be a projection of our current self, that we're afraid of what we might become in the future, or what our weaknesses as of current, what they will turn into in the future. Because we have no way of understanding what our limits will morph into. Therefore, we have this almost fear of knowing what will happen, of knowing what we will become, because we're afraid that we might fall short of our goals, fall short of our dreams, things that we always search for. And I think this can be shown in almost a metaphorical sense with the idea of how so many people are afraid of the dark. And many people think that it's the fear of the dark that is causing this paranoia when you can't really see that well around you. But instead it's actually more of the fear of the unknown, of what might be lurking in the dark, what we can't see, what we can't predict. Therefore, I feel like the future, our fear of the future especially, is kind of going off this same principle that we don't know what will happen. We can't see what's lurking in the shadows, what might happen with us, how we will change. Therefore, we're so afraid of it. And with the current focus on self-improvement, of going offline, of trying to better ourselves, I think this has become even more readily apparent. And this is why our fear of the future has become stronger than ever. And especially with political uncertainty, societal changes, constant technological evolution, the fear of the future is even more visible. Lastly, I think it's valuable to view a reason for our fear of the future as possibly related to our fear of death and of our finite existence, knowing that it will come to a close at some point. Because oftentimes when we think of the future nowadays, we think of the future as in the next decade or so, what will happen in the near future. But if you really have a subconscious reason for the fear of the future, it could be tied to the fact that the future is just a concept, that it means it can stretch to fit any time that it's not currently in our moment that we are living. Therefore, the fear of the future might be based off what might happen in the next few decades, or as long as we have to live, which would be a lot longer of like the very near future for most people. And so I feel like the fear of the future may be heavily influenced by our fear of death, because most people have a fear of their own mortality and not knowing what will happen after that, where they will go. It's one of the most important questions of our human existence. And so therefore, Maybe we don't know it directly, but the fear of the future could be influenced by our fear of death. And so this is just another way to add on to our possible fear of the future. And so to conclude, I think that the fear of the future may never actually go away, but it doesn't have to decide how we act today. And as always, thank you for breathing deeper with me.